go. So remember at the beginning of this show, I said we only had two rules. And the first was this. The first was to be cool. We are trying to do something new. We're trying to come to you guys and gals live on the internet and do some different things. But putting this all together, it's a heck of an effort. And it doesn't matter what you do and how hard you try. Sometimes things happen. The internet may go down. This thing. But here's the thing. We're just going to bounce right up. Just be cool. And I want to welcome our next guest. So I have to share a little story. For those of you who know me, you know that when I was in college, I went to University of San Diego. In my junior year of school, my third year of school, I was on a fraternity trip down in Mexico with a bunch of friends. And I got in this terrible car accident, had 2 brain hemorrhages. And it ended up I had to drop out of college and spend a bunch of time just laying around recovering. I couldn't really do much of anything. I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't read. Because everything, just the moving pictures made me sick. Till one day, one of my roommates came in and he handed me a motivational book on tape. And he said, my dad thinks you should listen to this. And before he knew it, I had a library. And I felt like there were a couple of people that really helped me to get out of that period, really helped me to shift my mindset. And our next guest is the person that when it comes to speaking and inspiration and motivation and really helping us to see through to the other side, it is Les Brown. Les Brown, I want to thank you so much for joining us today and being here.
Well, thank you so much for having me here. And I'm so glad that you're on the other side, but not the other side of what you were facing. But I feel like this is a setup to bring me on after Amelia. Oh my God, I love her. She's awesome. I really enjoyed listening to her, and I love the work that you're doing because people need hope now more than ever, and they need methods and what they can do to help them to get to the other side. And I thought that Amelia did an incredible job. And this is something that is the calling on your life. So let's get it on, as Marvin Gaye would say.
Well, I think, Les, you have such an inspiring story. I think it would be awesome for those of you who don't know you, if you could share a little bit about how you grew up and your journey through life as an entrepreneur, a TV host, and all those different things.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, well, first of all, I really appreciate you for the work that you're doing now because it's needed now more than ever. Since 1999, before Corona, the suicide rate has increased 32%.
Hey, Les, could you get just a little closer to your mic? Is that possible?
Yes. Hold it just a minute.
It's the internet. We're just having a little trouble hearing you.
How's that?
That's much better. Thank you. Perfect.
Much better?
Yes.
Okay, very good. As I said before, that since 1999 to now, before the coronavirus, suicide rate increased 32%. Today, we're traumatized. Did you see the numbers for people filing for unemployment? What was that number I told you, John Leslie? No,
we're well over 30 million people now. Yeah,
over 30 million people that have applied for unemployment compensation. That's striking trauma and fear, and just really dislodging a lot of people from the reality that they once knew. And
yes.
So when I think about my life, being born in an abandoned building on a floor in a poor section of Miami, Florida, called Liberty City, with a twin brother. When we were 6 weeks of age, we were adopted, but we were taken in first as foster kids. We were one of 7, and then Mama later adopted us. I'm on this program because of 2 women always say that one gave me life, the other one gave me love, that God took me out of my biological mother's womb and placed me in the heart of my adopted mother. And Mama, she never had any children. She had a 3rd grade education. She worked for wealthy families on Miami Beach. She kept their children, and we wore the hand-me-down clothes of the children that she kept. And she cooked for them, and we ate the food left over. They would always say, Mamie, whatever food is left over, you can take it home to those kids that you've taken in to raise. And
Wow.
my mother could bake, Scott. She could bake a sweet potato pie so good you couldn't eat it with your shoes on. You had to take your shoes off so you could wiggle your toes. And so, and when I think about Mama and seeing her getting ready to go to work, and she took me with her because none of the neighbors wanted to keep me. They said, Mamie, we'll keep the other six, but you got to take Leslie with you because he's a little touched in the head. Because when I was in fifth grade, I was labeled educable mentally retarded, and I was put back from the fifth grade to the fourth grade. And I failed again when I was in the eighth grade. But I had a high school teacher just like you. I was watching you prior to my coming on. Very, very similar personality, Mr. Leroy Washington. And he told me when I came in his class looking for another student, he said, young man, go and work this problem out for us. And I said, I can't do that, sir. And he said, why not? I said, I'm not one of your students. He said, look at me. I said, yes, sir. And the other students started laughing, saying, he's Leslie. He's got a twin brother, Wesley. Wesley's smart. He's DT. And he asked, what's DT? And they said, he's the dumb twin. And I
Wow.
said, I am, sir. And he came from behind his desk and he looked at me. He said, don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality.
Mm.
And what he spoke, you know, as you are aware, how people live their lives is a result of the story they believe about themselves. When he spoke, he interrupted the story that I believe about myself. At that time, psychologists call it your self-explanatory style. Mama said, sticks and stones can break your bones, but words will never hurt you. But we know that words do hurt and hurt deeply.
Mm.
And so when I think about my life and think about the work that you're doing and what we're doing and what Amelia's doing,
Mhm.
is that when we get the opportunity, the sacred opportunity to speak into people's lives or to provide training or coaching or involved in sales or doing some movement that represent who we are, we distract, dispute, and inspire. We distract them from their current story. And through our presentation,
Mm.
that we begin to dismantle their current belief system and inspire them, as Mother Teresa would say, to become a pencil in the hand of God and start writing a new chapter in their lives.
Mm.
So that's a Reader's Digest of Mrs. Mamie Brown's baby boy. That's who I am. I'm a mama's boy.
Well, I'll tell you, you also you have an incredible story about how you, because I think today we all have to hustle, we have to pivot, we have to adapt. And when there's opportunity, we can't wait. We can't hesitate. We have to jump on that. And I'd love you to share your story about getting into the radio business because I think it really demonstrates that point around hustle.
Well, I think that what Amelia said, which is major, she said that brilliance is birthed through tragedies, through crises. Because crises in the Chinese language means danger, but it also means opportunity.
Mm.
And when I was looking for a way in which I would take care of my mother, this man, Mr. Washington, said, Mr. Brown, what do you want to do with your life? I said, I'd like to buy my mother a home. I
Mm.
feel like Abraham Lincoln, who said, all that I am and all that I ever hope to be, I owe to my mother. And
Mm.
I'm determined to, when I turn 18, sir, that she will never pay another bill. I don't believe women should pay bills. That's what a man does, not a grown boy. And if a woman wants to work, whatever money she earns, should use it to pamper herself. And so he said, how do you plan to do that? I said, I'd like to become a disc jockey. So he said, okay. He said, but you got to be hungry. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, people that are hungry are unstoppable. People that are hungry are relentless.
Mhm.
People that are hungry realize you will fail your way to success. So he told me to go talk to Milton Butterball Smith, a young man that he had trained, and recommended that I talk to him at WMBM radio station on Miami Beach. And I went to the station. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I'd like to be a disc jockey. He said, do you have any journalism in your background? I said, no, sir, I don't. You have any experience in radio? I said, no, sir, I don't. But let me audition for you, sir. I'll show you I am good. And he said, no. And people who have ever been rejected, that's devastating. And I went back and I said, Mr. Washington, he said, no. And he said, don't take it personally. Most people have to say no 7 times before they say yes. He said, you got to be hungry. Go back again. So I went back again. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you, sir? My name is Les Brown, sir. I'd like to be a disc jockey. He said, weren't you here yesterday? I said, yes, sir, I was. Didn't I tell you no yesterday? Yes, sir, you did. Then why are you back today? I said, well, sir, I didn't know whether or not somebody was laid off or somebody was fired, sir. No one was laid off. No one was fired. Now, don't you come back here again. I came back the next day, talking loud, looking happy, like I was seeing him for the first time. Hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you? My name is Les Brown, sir. I like to be a disc jockey. He said, I know what your name is. Weren't you here the last 2 days? I said, yes, sir. Didn't I tell you no the last 2 days? I said, yes, sir. Then why are you back today? I said, sir, I didn't know whether or not someone got sick or someone. No one got sick or died. No one was laid off or fired. Now, don't you come back here again. I came back the next day, loud, looking happy, like I was seeing him for the first time. I said, hello, Mr. Butterball. How are you? He looked at me with rage. He said, go get me some coffee. I said, yes, sir. The book says the greatest among you will be your servant. So I became the errand boy for the disc jockeys. I just wanted to get my foot in the door, and I'd go get their lunch and their dinner. And I had a mindset that I expected to become successful in broadcasting, and I was willing to establish a relationship with them. People do business with people they know, like, and trust, and I wanted them to see me as a resourceful person. And I would watch them working the control board, knowing my time would come. And then on the weekends, when they would come to their cars, the cars be waxed and clean inside out. He said, hey, who did this? I said, I did, sir. How much do you charge, young boy? Nothing, sir. I just want to serve you. I said, whoa, listen, Dinah Ross and the Supremes are coming to town, the Four Tops and the Temptations. Pick them up and take them to the Fontainebleau Hotel on Miami Beach. I said, it'd be my pleasure, sir. And I would drive these entertainers all over Miami Beach in the disc jockeys' big, long Cadillacs. I didn't have any driver's license, but I was driving like I had some. And then one day, a guy named Rockin' Roger was drinking while he was on the air. And it was obvious he could not complete his show. He began to slur his words. And there it was, a Saturday afternoon, and I was the only one there looking at him through the control room window, walking back and forth, talking to myself, saying, drink, rock, drink. I'd get him some more if he had asked me to. And then pretty soon the phone rang. It was a general manager, and I answered the phone. I said, hello? He said, young boy, this is Mr. Klein. I said, I know. He said, Rock can't finish his program. I said, I know. You call one of the other DJs in? I said, yes, sir. I hung the phone up, and I said, you must think I'm crazy, Scott. I called my mama and my girlfriend, Cassandra. I said, y'all come out on the front porch and turn on the radio. I'm about to come on the air. I waited for about 20 minutes, and I called him back. I said, Mr. Klein, I can't find nobody. He said, young boy, you know how to work the controls? I said, yes, sir. He said, you go in there. Don't you say nothing here. I said, yes, sir. I couldn't wait to get old Rock out of the way. Stevie Wonder had a song out. He was 12 years old at the time, and the song was called Fingertips. I put that on. I said, look out, this is me, LB Triple P, Les Brown, your platter playing papa. There were none before me, and there will be none after me. Therefore, that makes me the one and only. Young and single and love to mingle, certified, bona fide, dutifully qualified to bring you satisfaction and a whole lot of action. Look out, baby, I'm your love man. I was hungry.
It's such an inspiring story. And Les, I have one more question for you. The question is, there's so many people out there that are going through difficult times right now. You know, they've lost their job, or they're fighting to keep their business. Maybe they've had to shut it down. They've been let go. They've been furloughed. Maybe they had consulting agreements that were all canceled. They're having a difficult time. seeing through to the other side. Maybe that's the hardest part of this whole thing for them. How do you have the vision in a tough time to see yourself through to the other?
People who don't have vision to focus on the opportunities as opposed to the danger and to
Mhm.
what has happened have skinny children. Let me
Mhm.
tell you, when I got back from Dubai right before the lockdown, my assistant said, all of your speaking engagements have been canceled. I said, okay. So I started looking at what are the opportunities here.
Yeah.
Aaron White said in life, when you don't have enough courage or insight to know that you have outgrown a situation and it's time to move on, life will move on you.
Mm.
And I see this as a blessing for me and for others. Why? Because now I can speak in 3 different cities in the comfort of my home
Mm.
and share my story, knowledge, my passion for making a difference in people's lives, spend more time with my children, my grandchildren, and my 4 great grandsons. Now, as a 4th stage cancer conqueror, I can spend more time working on my healing program and helping and training speakers who desire to want to take their story and go national and global.
Mm.
Now I'm focusing on the opportunities. You know, somebody said that opportunity knocks on every door. No, opportunity stands by silently waiting for us to recognize it. And
Mm.
so now I'm recognizing and looking for the opportunities to maximize my downtime, as my son John Leslie would say. He's a speaker and a trainer, and he said the reason people call it downtime is because that's when people usually engage in behavior that keep them from going up.
Mm.
So this is a time, as Amelia alluded to see this as a cocoon. No matter how fast a caterpillar runs with all of his legs, it can never fly. And so
Mm.
when it goes in the cocoon, it's doing some work. It's not in there with its legs crossed and looking at CNN. No, it's working out. It's doing setups to get slim so it can fly. It's doing side bends. You know what I'm talking about? It's fasting. It's doing keto diet. Eating a lot of rabbit food while it's in that cocoon. So when it comes out, it will come out singing, I believe I can fly, like R. Kelly used to do.
So good. So good. Well, Les, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. How can people find you?
People can find me. They first of all, I like from the order my new book called You've Got to Be Hungry, The Greatness Within to Win. And they can go to IamHungryLesBrown.com.
Mm.
I am hungrylesbrown.com. And they will find that it will transform their lives. And they can, if people who are listening interested in developing a global voice to speak to the world, they can email me personally at lesbrown77@gmail.com. 7 is my lucky number. February the 17th, I turned 75. So,
Wow.
yes, 75, man. Who does that? But
Mhm.
I'm grateful to still be here. LesBrown77@gmail.com. Thank you for who you are and for what you do and encouraging people to live a life that will outlive them. God bless
Les,
you.
thanks so much for joining. Take care, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother.